Good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to today's episode of Coffee Talk Live. This is the show where my guests and I explore what it means to live a sustainable, healthy life as women, as mothers, for ourselves in the home and in the community. I'm your host, Connie Pastorius, founder of Pastorius Fitness, which is online coaching for overwhelmed moms who are ready to get stronger, gain energy, and reclaim their health. I'm also the woman in charge here at Strong as a Mother, Happy and Healthy Living, which is a Facebook group whose mission is to be the village for moms to feel heard and supported so they can live happy and healthy lives while raising happy and healthy babies. So do me a favor, if you're watching this live, drop a 1 or a good morning in the comments. If you're catching the replay, drop a 2 or just say, I'm watching this on my break. And either way, please don't be shy. I really want to hear your takeaways, your thoughts, and your experiences in these conversations. And if you're watching on YouTube later on, click the link in the description of this video to join the amazing community of busy but health-minded moms just like you. So my guest today is a really freaking cool one. She and I have been lifelong friends, I think since kindergarten, and we stayed connected over Facebook over the years. And after a series of, I don't know, random conversations, we got to talking about some really important things. And that's what got us to our conversation today. So she is a grade school teacher and a very good friend of mine. So please welcome to the show, Jackie Riley Fetchin. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Connie and friends. It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's so good to see you too. Greetings from New York all the way over to Pittsburgh, yeah?
Hey from home.
Ah, geez. You know, I have a very special place in my heart for Pittsburgh because no matter what, I go home and it's the same damn place. Like, even though a couple restaurants change and things change a little bit, like it's still the place where I grew up, and you know.
Can't count on the permanis and the cookie tables.
You know, did you know I worked at Permanis? That was like my first
I did not know that.
tax-paying job, and it was an awful decision.
Oh.
But I was working these like really late night shifts during the week because they just thought I was older than I was. And this was like 10th grade. I wasn't 18 yet. And I remember there was one night where they were just talking about me having to close. And I was like, hey, I got like a chem final tomorrow. And I don't remember how it came up that he's like, you're 18, right? And I'm like, no, dude, I'm like 17 or 16 or something. And he's like, you got to go home right now. Like they were violating such like huge labor laws by working me as hard as they did. But on the bright side, that's where I learned how to toss a pizza, and I know how to make their coleslaw, which was probably the two only redeeming qualities of having
That's a solid trick for you to have, though, that coleslaw. I'm not about mayonnaise based things. There's I can do.
Nice. Well, moving on from Pittsburgh for mayonnaise, only good when you're drunk at 3 a.m. sandwich conversation. We're going to talk about some deep stuff today. Yeah,
we are. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So, you know, we just started chatting on Messenger. I think maybe it was from whenever I posted about my mental health.
Yeah.
And we just started discussing more and more about what our experiences in high school to the other person was so different. Like the life I thought you were living in high school was very different, and the life like just being like, oh my God, I didn't realize that was going on for you.
Yeah.
And the more that we talked about it, the more I realized that this will be a great conversation, because what the things that you were telling me were echoed by a lot of the more overweight, the bigger moms that I work with, because these are people who have lived with more plus size, figure in their life. And what you did and your story of like how it affected you growing up at such a young age and what it took to overcome it was something that I wanted to see if you're willing to share. So here we are.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about growing up. Whenever, I mean, like I'm trying to think of like a really good starting point here. Like when do you feel like you first started becoming more self-conscious of the way you looked?
I always knew that I was bigger than everybody else. Going back to my earliest memories, I have an older brother who was skin and bones growing up. So I was often very jealous of his athletic abilities and even just his ability to not get out of breath walking up the giant hill we had to walk up to get to our home from the bus stop. I went to preschool, and on top of being the biggest one there, I was also super duper shy. So that kind of stayed with me for my whole life. And up until I was 30, I was living with undiagnosed anxiety. And I've since been medicated, and that has been extraordinarily helpful. It has been wonderful for me. But the combination of the anxiety and the weight for my entire life kind of kept me to myself a lot. But I remember having one friend who was always a very constant, even going back to those preschool days. Shout out to Sam, love you, girl. She has been my rock and my everything forever. And she's one of the people who has never, ever, not once commented on my weight. We worked our way through elementary school together, and we went through our life difficulties, crushes on boys and clothing styles. And that was actually one that was really hard for me to watch her be able to go through without me, was the trends and the clothing styles in the 90s and early 2000s. I was super duper jealous. There were all these cute clothes. And unfortunately, at that time, manufacturers didn't really cater to kids who were in that plus size group, particularly females. So I would find myself having to shop in the juniors section, but at 5'2", there was a lot of hemming with pants going on. And then also something my parents and particularly my granny didn't like was the low cut nature of the clothing in the junior section.
Yeah,
but
this was something that we talked about briefly, and I wanted to go into a little bit more about the the lack of choices and feeling like you wanted to wear the things that like skinnier friends wore, or at least more typical sized friends had. I had that same feeling. I was 5'8". I was 5'8" by the 8th grade. So I was bigger than like 90% of the boys and wearing the same size as my mom. So for all those who didn't go to high school with me, I did not grow up healthy minded or fit. It was just snacks on snacks on snacks, and no boy was paying attention to me. And if there was a boy paying attention, he got all my attention because I was the only one. But what you were talking about with having to wear junior size clothes when everybody else was still wearing like little kid clothes was an unintentional kind of over sexualization of your body. And it was something that you felt that affected you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you just said, if a boy was paying attention to me, oh, he got my everything, because it was so few and so far between. And that was very detrimental, as it turns out, with my appropriate development over the next few years. But it was either wear those clothes, or I remember back to 6th grade, Mrs. Rex had a sub. And in those days, I was wearing a lot of Arizona brand clothing from JCPenney's, because they did have a plus size extended collection. And that's what my parents would buy for me. And I remember the sub bless her, because I understand what it's like trying to learn kid names these days. It can be tough, but she wanted to call on me. She called me Arizona girl because I was only wearing Arizona brand clothing. I'm like, oh, I know they're ugly, but they fit my body. Please call me by my name.
Aw, man.
She
And
didn't mean anything by it,
but you have this memory of sixth grade. Like, how many of us have vivid, clear memories of that long ago? Like,
oh gosh, I have a bank of embarrassing moments.
I know. So you're going through high school. We're going through middle school. We're going through high school. Did you feel that like you needed to wear those more attention grabbing clothes more often, or was like the shy version of you just covering up more? Like where did you find the most comfort, or was there a balance? Like what did that how did that make you feel whenever you're getting dressed every day?
That's a really good question, and it honestly depended on the day, and I'm not sure what was going on in my brain on any given day, but I would say my basic attire during high school was either jeans and a hoodie, real big hoodie, hide, go swimming in the hoodie, or some of those over sexualized clothing pieces. I remember I came in feeling really good about myself one day in a tank top that I found, I think at Deb, because they had the bigger sizes, but again, super sexy. And I came in, and our dear sweet chorus teacher saw me walking down the hallway, and she gasped and said, oh, Jacqueline Riley, just because my bosom was kind of spilling out all over the place. I was like, what? Other girls dress like this. It's fine. And I did, but like maybe they had different bodies. I don't know.
Well, it obviously looked like an adult body on a middle school age kid whenever you're
Right.
wearing clothes like that, and you're way more developed than a lot of those other girls were. I remember there was one particular girl that I always mirrored or like wanted to look like. Her first name was Sarah. We'll leave it there. And I always thought like, oh, she's so cool. She's sporty. She's sexy. She like has the right figure. It's like
And smart.
and she's smart. And I just like when I tried to wear those same clothes, I just had like, I think I had muffin top before it was a phrase. And the ultra low rise jeans did not fit my figure. I'm sure you can commiserate here.
For sure.
So right, like when I was wearing like jeans that I had to get in my mom's department, that didn't make me feel very cool at all, or sexy, or any kind of grabbing attention. So let's continuing on to like our conversation about like how your self-esteem was developed through school years. You were talking a little bit about musical and how that was something that you really wanted to do, but what ended up happening?
I was in chorus, and I tried being in band for a moment, if you remember 8th grade, but then I turned out when I attempted to play percussion, I can't keep a beat. Turns out that's important, as you well know.
It helps.
But I was in chorus because I felt comfortable having everyone around me who was also doing the same or similar, but I was so scared to put myself out there and actually try out for any kind of musical or any kind of play or any kind of performance, because as a bigger bodied person, you're automatically going to be thrown into a role of a skinny character. If the roles were reversed and I was in a thinner body and I had to play a larger bodied character, okay, fine, cool, easy. You stuff me up with some pillows, maybe get some prosthetics if you don't come by the double chin naturally, and you're good to roll. If you have a larger person trying to play the role of Belle in Beauty and the Beast, and you've got, you know, early 2000s high schoolers as an audience, there's going to be talk about that. Not to mention my own internal dialogue of, are you sure you're going to be able to sing and dance at the same time, you big fat fatty? So I never tried out, partially because I knew kids would talk, partially because I knew I'm going to have to play a skinny person and I'm not one, and partially because of my own internal fears, which I've been working on actually over the years. And as you mentioned, I do teach elementary school. And I have found that in that role, I've been teaching kindergartners for the past 7 years, and I'm about to hop into my first year as a pre-K teacher this fall. I'm pretty excited about that. But I do get to put on a show for those kids every dang day. And I sing in front of them and we dance together. And who cares if I can't keep up? They're 5. They love that I try, and it's amazing.
That's so cool. So when you were younger, when you were in school, you kind of got stopped before you could even take that chance of going into musicals. And I feel like it would be just as bad to be, even if you did go into like musicals or auditions, that you got pigeonholed into like a bigger role, like, hey, you should play the genie in Aladdin, or I can't think of any other like bigger sized characters, but like,
right.
You're like, oh, well, I'm stuck playing this role or this particular thing, which happens a lot in like sitcoms. Like there's like the bigger sassy chick, which I'm watching Modern Family right now for the first time, which is an amazing show. But Cam's sister is that like archetypal, bigger, super sassy, has the attitude kind of character. And, you know, she does it well, but it's not like, is that the only role that they have for her? And is this kind of changing? So talk to us then about what the turning point for you was. You mentioned like, you know, really not being able to do the things that you wanted to. And then, you know, you found that role, you found that career, being able to really stand in front of everybody and not give a flying fudge about yourself. So there had to be some steps in the middle. So that's what I want to hear about.
Definitely. For my first couple years of teaching, it was not like that. I was still that shy, timid, oh, these ladies around me also teaching are super alpha, and I'll just stand back and watch them do it. That stopped when I was presented with an opportunity to have a promotion as a site director at my job. And, you know, that meant having to take a bigger role in parent communications. And because that's always a worry too, like, how seriously are these parents going to take me as a bigger lady with tattoos and purple hair? But so far, so good. So teaching has really, really upped my game with stepping out of my shell. And the biggest turning point was when I realized how shitty my mental health was. My husband was always very patient with me and very graceful with me, and I'm so thankful for that, because he gave me the support that I needed while I helped myself via therapy and via Lexapro, which is my current antidepressant and anti-anxiety, and I love it so much. It has really helped a lot. But the cognitive behavioral therapy helped me to realize that I'm the only one thinking about me to the extent that I am. And you're the only one thinking about you to the extent that you are. And people are intrinsically selfish and self-minded. And in a whole world where there's other people with other worries, I can worry about me, and that's enough. If other people are worrying about me, I'm sorry about their luck. But that helped a lot in leading up to what was a really tricky point in my life. My dad had been relocated to Texas for his job. He worked with American Airlines, and he was down there for the past 5 years. And during during lockdown, he had an exacerbation with a lung condition that he had called pulmonary fibrosis. And what that condition does is it slowly turns lung tissue into scar tissue. So during COVID, that got exacerbated. He was taken to the COVID ward at his hospital locally down there in Fort Worth, and he tested negative for COVID. And he was kept for at least 24 hours in that COVID ward around potential COVID patients, around doctors who were with COVID patients. And he's got this big bad lung issue. So there was no one down there who was advocating for him. My brother was on vacation. He's the nurse of the family. So typically that would have been his wheelhouse, his job, his thing. He wasn't available. I had to step up. And that's how I kind of found my voice in advocating for others, was talking to that nurse. She said, you know, we don't have beds here. Every family is in the same position. I'm really sorry, but every family is not in the same position. Not every family member, you know, is caring for someone with a terminal illness that's already in their lungs. So that really helped me to be an advocate for him. We were thankfully able to get him back up here to Pittsburgh, and he stayed with me and my husband for the final 6 months of his life. We watched him slowly deteriorate. And then as it progressed, it was faster and faster. And my dad was always the kind of guy who lived for making memories with the people he cared about. You know, since he worked for the airlines for so many years, we did have the opportunity to fly down to the beach and visit our family down there. And we had a lot of beach vacations and things like that. And as I watched him and as I cared for him and as I talked to him every day, those memories for him faded, because that's the nature of his disease. The oxygen couldn't get from his lungs to his brain, and it slowly slipped away one by one. And it was tragic and it was terrifying. And when he died, I said to myself, if we live life to make memories and we're not even guaranteed to keep them at the end, how can people be so mean to each other, first of all? And why am I letting myself continue to be held back by society and my insecurities and things that haven't even happened? And I will be happy if I even have enough memories to lose by the time I leave the earth. But if I'm not out there making memories, then I've got nothing. And I can't stop myself from making memories that I want to have anymore. I don't deserve that. None of us deserve that for ourselves. You know, even though I'm living in the confines of a larger body, I still deserve happiness. I still deserve love. And damn it, I am entitled to respect. We were a generation who was raised, well, in my house, it was respect is earned, not given. And I think overall, as a generation, we're flipping that script. And we're just automatically giving respect to everyone because that's the right thing to do. But even fat people deserve and are entitled to respect. And I think that gets left behind a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story about your dad. And I'm sure getting through it without getting overly teary is probably a big step right now for you at this point too. So I'm happy to see your healing process is moving along swimmingly. And yeah, I think you touched on a really important point, which is bigger people deserving the benefit of the doubt, because what we do is we bring our biases into everyday life. I mean, right. in the wake and the time of Black Lives Matter and thinking and being made aware of our prejudices, that you and I grew up in a very white neighborhood. So, me living and moving to New York City was a very different experience. And I came to terms with the things that I grew up with that were very wrong. But similarly with how we perceive or the stories we tell about other people who don't look like us in terms of size and weight. I even started as a trainer, as a coach, looking at bigger people differently than how I look at them now, because we don't know their story, right? I don't know if that 200-pound person used to weigh 300 pounds, or I don't know if that 350-pound person just lost their mom, or whatever story it is that's behind there, or what their status of their health is. And that's something that's important to me, is your mental health in check? Is your physical health, aside from the pounds, like, is your heart healthy? Are you moving? Are you exercising? Are you doing good things for your body? Those are the things that I really care about. And so throughout, I feel like you were on kind of a weight loss, getting healthier journey before the stuff with your dad happened. Is that correct?
Yes.
So do you mind sharing a little bit of what that journey was like?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't want to be fat. It's inconvenient. You can't fit in things. The kangaroo at Kennywood, our Pittsburgh amusement park, is a bitch to get into. I've gotten bruises from it. So I wanted to change that. And I wanted to, I don't have kids, but I have a niece and nephew, and they are my world, and I want to be around for them for a good long while. So my husband and I, we were team working. We were going to the gym. We were doing the keto diet, which I understand now is probably not the best way to go, because I do want to eat mac and cheese, and I do want to eat ice cream. So when my dad got here, we tried really, really hard to maintain what we were doing. Not the gym, obviously, because that was not available to us during shutdown. And then, with the abundance of safety that we had to employ keeping my dad here, we didn't go out, like, at all. But kind of what you were talking about with is your heart healthy? Is your brain healthy? Like, are you physically healthy aside from the pounds? That's not the kind of mentality or weight loss type stuff that I grew up with. I grew up drinking my granny's Slim Fast shakes, and we're gonna go on Weight Watchers as a whole family. It's gonna be fun. That's not fun. They never made me go to the weigh-ins and stuff, but like, yeah, my skinny, metabolically good brother is gonna lose weight faster than me, and it was accidental and inadvertent things like that kind of were a downer. So we got into this groove. We were doing really well. I lost 60 pounds, and then I lost my dad. And food is absolutely a comfort mechanism for me, and I know that. And have I been doing my best with effort in eating a balanced and nutritious diet or getting exercise? No, I absolutely haven't. But the reason for that is because I just got myself mentally okay before all this stuff with my dad went down. Years of anxiety and depression, years of therapy, and years on that Lexapro. And I said to my dad before he passed, I'm not done working on my mental health. I am not done working on my physical health. And I want you to know that, and that I'm not going to give up. And I felt it necessary to say that to him, because whenever his mom passed in 2016, she was my favorite person in the entire world, my granny. I had a hell of a time recovering from that, physically and mentally. It was a downward spiral that lasted a good long time. We're about 6 months out, 7 months out from my dad passing, and my mental health is at a point where I feel like I'm okay, and I feel like I am ready to reintroduce the things like exercise and nutrition into my daily routines. This is after I've dealt with the depression eating me, and like one of the first things to go whenever I get into that level of depression is basic hygiene. You know, if I'm not taking a shower, if I'm not brushing my teeth, I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm not going to give a shit what I'm putting in my mouth. And I was actually listening to a podcast by Rhett and Link. It's called Ear Biscuits. So they are from Good Mythical Morning. Really enjoy those too. But Link once said that his grandmother told him anything worth doing is worth doing half-assed. And we always hear the opposite of that. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. But if you think about it, you know, it's worth it to keep yourself clean. If you can't muster a shower that day, wash your pits, tits, and naughty bits. If you can't muster brushing your teeth, you know, get some Listerine, mouthwash a little. If you can't do something well, do it half-assed. At least you're still doing it. And that really stuck with me. So have I been doing things half-assed? Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah. Do I know how to fix it? Do I have the tools to do that? I do.
Oh my God. So you stumbled across like one of the biggest pillars of toxic health and fitness culture, which is the all or nothing mentality. If I can't exercise 7 days a week and eat salads and, you know, chicken breast and broccoli and brown rice every single day, if I can't, you know, get 8 hours of sleep, then I can't do it. Or you try it for like 3 days and mess up and you're like, fuck it.
Yep.
I messed up again. There goes Connie screwing up her diet, gonna go eat, you know, Ben and Jerry's for the rest of the afternoon. And there it is. If you can't, like, anything worth doing is worth doing half-assed. And that's a perfect way to say, like, you don't have to give it 100%, because whenever we are caretakers, you're a caretaker of your father, you have a husband, you have your students. Whenever you're moms, you can't give 100% to anything. And
you shouldn't be expected to.
Well, we're expected to, all right. But
well,
being able
society better stop that.
Yeah.
I see all you mamas. I work with your babies.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
The idea that, you know, you can't even, I don't even like saying like live a balanced life anymore, because balance means that you're giving an even amount to one thing as another. And that's not true at all. Like, there's some times in your life where you're going to be able to give 80% of your energy to your health and your fitness. And there's other times you're going to have to give 80% to your babies, or 80% to your job or your family or whatever. So I read once that it's more about creating harmony and doing just the littlest bit to move the needle forward, or to just improve by 1%, or just do enough. Right? I have a very difficult relationship with the word enough, and with contentment, and feeling like where I am is cool, that I don't have to keep working towards a fitness goal. I have to keep working towards a version of my business that I'm not at. And I think you really hit the nail on the head here. And these are all, I feel, are really important messages. And I really hope, if anyone's watching live or on the replay, if you want to share your experience, or if your experience is similar to mine or Jackie's, that I would love to encourage you to share that story, because I think a lot of us have had a hard time with something growing up. And the idea here of having a bigger body than the typical kid, than the typical teenager, and how our belief in our own value and in our worth and our beauty is determined at such a young age. That's such an important starting point to recognize, like, where did this belief about me come from, to start taking steps towards healing that. And for ourselves is important, but if we want to break that generational curse, if we don't want to pass that on to our babies or onto our students, onto our kids, onto other people in our life, that we deserve, like you said, we deserve to heal and to move past that shy kid who doesn't want to be in front of people, who doesn't want to make a noise, who doesn't want their boobs hanging out if they don't want them to. And luckily, I feel like there is a bigger voice for advocating for healthier at every size, which I really love. But it's still, we still grew up with those perceptions and those beliefs about other people and those beliefs about ourselves. And yeah, I don't know, that was just me kind of grandstanding. And I felt, I feel like this is kind of the message that we're getting towards. So what if you have a particular message for women out there who grew up bigger than the other kids or are still living as a size that isn't what they would like to be? What would that message be for them?
As a millennial, I don't like to say that I'm entitled to anything, but I am, and you are, and we are entitled to basic respect and basic decency. And you deserve to find your happiness and to find your love and to find your fulfillment in life. You deserve to pursue your passions, whatever body you're in. You deserve those things. You're a human. You're going to make mistakes. It happens. Look at yourself the way that you would look at your best friend. Grant yourself the same graces that you would grant to your best friend. You deserve that.
I think that's so freaking beautiful. And I love it. And I would listen to it on replay every morning as a reminder. And just adding on to that, or coming back to something that you said, the progress doesn't have to be linear.
Right. The number on my scale is way higher than it was when my dad got up here. But you know what? All those beach vacations that he took us on, and I never once in my life wore a bikini up until this past weekend when I went to the shores of Delaware with my husband, and I wore a bikini for the first time. And I'm gonna hold up there it is. That's Jackie in a bikini.
Yeah,
how
girl.
About it? And the liberation that I felt from knowing that I can, if I have to use the bathroom, I can just pull down the bottom of it and not have to worry about my wet body and a tight bathing suit trying to yank it back up over the bosom. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And you deserve that too. We all deserve that. Everyone deserves to pee. It's a bodily function.
And get redressed in not complete discomfort. I know, I love that. And I bet it felt just as good sharing, like, that's your profile picture now. And before the likes and the comments, it had to be so awesome to feel like this is the version of me I am now, and that's what the world gets.
What was super cool with that was, in that bathing suit, is it a little risque? Is it a little more extra than what I would usually wear? Yeah, but I felt so pretty in that top. It was such a great color.
It's a great color, it's a great cut, and there's an even more beautiful person underneath it and on the inside. Jackie, I wish you could teach my daughter. I think every kid who comes into your classroom is so lucky to have you. And your nieces and nephews and your family are so lucky to have you as well. And I'd say cheers to a very awesome story and a great conversation. Please stay in touch, enjoy rocking that bikini, and And I love you, my friend. It was so good to see you.
I love you back. It was good to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It has been an absolute delight, and I would love to keep the conversation going in the comments. I'd love to hear your takeaways, your stories, if this resonated with you, and answer any questions that you might have. So please remember, like, share, subscribe, and invite your moms into the Strong as a Mother group. I cannot wait to meet you and all of your mom friends. So until next week, stay strong, stay caffeinated, and I will see you in the group. Thanks, everyone.